Huang Mao awoke from a coma to find himself on a deserted island, feeling utterly lost. He recalled the water monster he'd encountered last night, his face etched with disbelief. His survival was a miracle. The island was covered in blooming red spider lilies, a chilling sight. He ran around the island aimlessly, like a headless chicken. After a long and arduous journey, he finally found a house. He rushed into the courtyard, eager to draw water from the well to quench his thirst. However, a severed tongue was clearly visible in the bucket, causing Huang Mao to collapse in terror. He didn't dare think twice, hurriedly getting up and running into the kitchen. The next sight left him completely dumbfounded. The homeowner was submerged in a wine vat. Only his head visible. Even more horrifying, blood dripped from the faucet. Then, he heard a noise inside the house. He cautiously approached, and several fanged vampires came into view. They were greedily gnawing on human remains. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. He turned and ran. But the vampires wouldn't let this easy meal escape. They swarmed out like hungry wolves. In an instant, they surrounded Huang Mao. At the critical moment, a masked warrior wearing sunglasses suddenly appeared. He engaged the vampires in a desperate battle. The masked warrior, single-handedly, successfully rescued Huang Mao. It turned out they were old friends. He told Huang Mao this island was cursed. Most of the islanders had become vampires. Only a few who had been separated were still alive. Aiming was the strongest of the survivors. He slaughtered without mercy to protect his companions. He and his master fought hundreds of vampires together. Just as the battle was about to end, an extremely ferocious monster suddenly appeared behind Aiming. It was called the Evil Ghost. It was an evolution of the vampires, created by their constant consumption of human blood. It swung its massive claws, repeatedly striking the ground. Aiming rolled to avoid the attack, leaping into the air to slash the Evil Ghost's palm. The monster was instantly enraged. It swung its claws, striking the cliff with force. The falling rocks tripped Aiming. He was about to die. But at the critical moment, his master intervened, blocking the Evil Ghost's attack. Then, with all his might, he threw a piece of wood into the air. Finally, the master and apprentice, working together, successfully killed it. But they hadn't had time to catch their breath. The island's demon king appeared with his followers. Though young in appearance, he had lived for 1,000 years. He ruled all the vampires on the island. With a command, 3 giant bird-beaked monsters lunged at them. Aiming showed no fear. He dodged the attack, gripping his katana and counterattacking swiftly. Unexpectedly, these creatures worked together. They held hands and lifted off the ground. After spinning 81 times in the air, they slapped Aiming hundreds of meters away. Suddenly, the Demon King appeared behind Xiaomei. Without a word, he opened his mouth and bit Xiaomei's neck to suck her blood. Aiming tried to rush to the rescue, but was kicked away. As a 1,000-year-old Demon King, his power was naturally formidable. With a gentle wave of his iron fan, he could split a mountain in two. Moreover, he possessed an immortal body. To completely eliminate the Demon King, they had to find a potion in the experimental base, called Potion 501. Aiming and his friends encountered an ambush by vampires on their way to the experimental base, but these were just minor minions. He swung his katana, slicing through them like watermelons. He dealt with most of them in minutes. Suddenly, the earth shook violently. A giant shark monster leaped out from behind the houses. Its 2 sharp claws constantly attacked Aiming. Despite its enormous size, it was incredibly agile. The shark monster was covered in countless eyes, allowing it to skillfully evade attacks. It cleverly dodged every sneak attack. Aiming could only dodge, unable to fight back. Carelessly, he was knocked to the ground. His katana fell from his grasp. Just when he thought he was about to die, his brother suddenly appeared and repelled the shark monster. Finally, the 2 brothers worked together to kill it. The 3 of them finally reached the experimental base, only to encounter a newly evolved bird-beaked monster. Seeing his companion in danger, Aiming immediately charged forward with his sword, engaging the monster. The other 2 used iron bars to smash a large hole in the wall. After ensuring his companions were safe inside, Aiming turned and slashed the monster's eye. Then he followed them inside, run straight ahead through the passage. But before they could catch their breath, they saw another group of vampire soldiers emerging from inside. Amin decisively drew his 2-meter-long katana. He charged into the vampire ranks and began a massacre. After dealing with all the vampires, they followed the stairs to an abandoned laboratory. Unexpectedly, there was another group of vampire soldiers here. Amin showed no mercy, quickly slashing them all down, ending their lives. Then, they began searching the shelves. Finally, their efforts paid off. They found the legendary 501 vaccine, but suddenly, their brother drew his sword, blocking their path. It turned out he was an undercover agent sent by the Demon King. His purpose was to retrieve the vaccine. Amin and his brother fought a fierce battle. However, the disparity in strength was too great, and Amin was knocked to the ground. Just as his brother was about to deliver the killing blow, the woman in red stepped forward, shielding Amin from the fatal strike, ending her short life. The vaccine they had worked so hard to find was taken by his brother. What surprised them was that the woman in red who had just died had also turned into a vampire. This was the most bizarre monster they had ever seen. It had a woman's face, but was embedded in a centipede's body. Its mouth was a large suction cup. Anyone who saw it would get goosebumps. But never make eye contact. Otherwise, you'll be cursed. They cautiously climbed the stairs. The monster slowly moved upward as well. Huang Mao, possibly due to nervousness, tripped and fell. He looked down and saw the monster staring at him fiercely. His companions urged him to run, but his legs were already unresponsive. They were shaking uncontrollably. In a critical moment, Amin pushed him away, saving his life. Meanwhile, the monster was enraged. With incredible speed, it frantically chased after them. Fortunately, the exit was small, and the monster couldn't get through. For now, they could only leave. As they walked, a small minecart appeared ahead. They saw a glimmer of hope. Suddenly, a loud bang. The centipede ancestor monster had returned. Because the minecart hadn't been used for a long time, the wheels were rusty. As danger loomed closer, Amin used all his strength to push the cart forward. Thankfully, at the last moment, they successfully avoided the attack. But the monster didn't seem to intend to let them go. It immediately turned and chased after them. The minecart, using the momentum of the downhill slope, accelerated rapidly. It was even more exciting than a roller coaster. But looking back, the monster was still chasing. At this time, Huang Mao remembered he had some grenades in his bag. They picked them up and threw them decisively. After a loud bang, the monster turned and fled to the other side. It seemed they were celebrating too soon. Unsurprisingly, the unexpected soon happened. In a flash, the monster had taken a shortcut and appeared on the opposite side. Worse still, the railway ahead was broken in the middle. Just when they thought they were doomed, the minecart narrowly avoided the monster's head, landing on its back. They had barely breathed a sigh of relief when they found themselves at a dead end. With a loud crash, the minecart smashed through a wooden door and fell into the river. Amin, to retrieve the 501 vaccine that could eliminate the Demon King, went alone to the vampire village, to fight his brother to the death. Unbeknownst to him, this was all part of the Demon King's plan. His goal was to make the brothers kill each other, so he could reap the rewards. In a trance, his brother remembered scenes of their childhood together. In a moment of distraction, he was stabbed in the chest by Amin. Having become a vampire, he couldn't die that easily. With a roar, he threw his weapon and fled. Amin and Huang Mao followed the trail of blood to the cave entrance. Inside, a large crucifix was placed in the center. Then, a long chair flew from behind. His brother leaped from a stone pillar, crashing down on Amin. The impact knocked the crucifix to the ground. His brother suddenly jumped out and bit Amin's neck. Ignoring the pain, he raised his broken sword and stabbed his brother in the eye. Even so, it didn't weaken his fighting ability. The brothers engaged in another fierce battle. In the blink of an eye, they shook the stone pillars above. In a critical moment, his brother pushed Amin away. He buried his lower body under a huge rock. Before he died, he revealed the truth. Everything he did, from the beginning until now, was to make Armin stronger. After a painful struggle, Armin ended his brother's life with a single blow. After getting the vaccine, just as he and the blonde-haired man left the cave, his sister-in-law and the villagers ignited the dynamite barrels, dying together. At this time, the Demon King suddenly appeared. Armin didn't say a word, he swung his sword to attack. As a result, the opponent transformed into a cloud of smoke and moved around. He couldn't be harmed at all. On the other hand, the survivors were hunted by a large number of vampires. Finally, they were driven to a dead end by the bird-headed monster. Then, the centipede monster broke through the roof and appeared above. They slowly approached, surrounding everyone. The evil smile made the master tremble. A great battle between humans and monsters is inevitable, but I don't know whether they ultimately defeat those monsters, as the movie ends here. If anyone has read the comic version, feel free to spoil it a bit.